welcome to the celebration of the recipients of the 2016 American Craft Council Awards. I'm Monica Moses, Editor-in-Chief of American Craft Magazine. I wasn't expecting that. The honors we bestow tonight, our highest awards, are honors that the Council gives every 2 years. The awards are one of the most important and intensive parts of our work. There's a phrase in our strategic plan, honor exemplary practitioners that the staff knows well. Preparing for this evening, which included researching, interviewing, and documenting the awardees, is a particular privilege for the staff of American Craft Magazine. Once the awards committee has made their selections, we set out to visit each new honoree in their native habitat, as it were, their home and studio, and we conduct video interviews. So this year, Andrew Rinaldo, Julie Hannes, and I traveled to New Jersey, California, Texas, Manhattan, the Hudson Valley, Connecticut, Vermont, Michigan, Massachusetts, and Chicago. The interviews we conducted then became profiles in the magazine and videos for our website. And everything we collected from the awardees, exhibition catalogs, CVs, artist statements, various ephemera, became material for our library, documentation for posterity. Our visits to these interesting, dedicated, accomplished people are always fun, enlightening, and full of little adventures that we get to savor later. The awards are 41 years old this year, and they're just getting started. Here's a brief history. Since 1975, the Council has inducted more than 300 people into its College of Fellows, honoring those who have demonstrated outstanding achievement for more than 25 years. We celebrate the Fellows along with our gold medalist, a career crowning honor reserved for a previously elected fellow, and also the winners of the Eileen Osborne Webb Award for Philanthropy and the Award of Distinction. Since the inception of the college, new members have been elected by their peers, the preceding fellows, whose ranks include Lenore Tawney, Sam Maloof, Albert Paley, Dale Chihuly, and Betty Woodman. I have a feeling you'll be as inspired as we are by the newest honorees. And now I'd like to invite to the stage Bruce Pepich, Chair of the Awards Committee and Executive Director and Curator of Collections of the Racine Art Museum. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Reverend Bruce of the Church of Craft, and we are calling this meeting to order. Can I have a hallelujah? All right, let's get it down to business. Yeah, I'm going already. Hey, I only got 6 minutes, don't derail me. Okay. No one in this field works solely for themselves. Yes, craft artists are constantly thinking in their own minds about generating new ideas and mastering new techniques. They design, devise, and frequently produce work on their own, and life in the studio can be a solitary one at times. The urge to create something that is in some way meaningful drives all of us along, whether we make art or serve its cause in various ways. Even though a work of art may start as a personally focused process, the craft artist still seeks to communicate his or her message, to share the results of this creative process with others in a public way. Like-minded professionals support these efforts through curating, criticism, and educational programming. Organizations and institutions have been formed to support the artists in their endeavors and to bring their works into the public realm. Generous and thoughtful private donors back the artists of our field through the acquisition of their work and help in funding the efforts of many organizations to support all aspects of this creative process. When I received a phone call a few years ago telling me that my peers had nominated me to be an honorary fellow in the ACC's College of Fellows, I remember being both honored and humbled at the same time. Knowing how few living artists and art professionals were in the college, I was, of course, flattered. After all, we each appreciate having our work recognized. However, my overall response at first was how daunting it was to think of myself in the company of the kinds of internationally and nationally recognized professionals who made up the college membership. None of us expects this level of recognition, and none of us actually actively seeks it. I remember thinking, are they sure they haven't made a mistake? My career experience has been focused on ushering the artist and, more importantly, their work to the forefront. For the work is what really matters. Like many other curators, writers, and historians, I prefer to stay off stage behind the curtain to perform my work. This recognition is not something that one accepts lightly. However, I realize that my career experience could be useful to younger professionals in much the same way that earlier generations in this field inspired me with their career achievements. What we do when singled out for this recognition, after making sure that they haven't made a mistake, is to gratefully accept this acknowledgement of our efforts with the hope that the lives we have lived and continue to live and the careers we have each forged will serve as an example to younger people in the field. Each of these awards recognizes exemplary work while also pointing the way for future generations. The acknowledgement of one's peers through entrance into the College of Fellows is powerful. It inspires each of us and spurs us back into the studio to create or the office to write, curate, or study. We each have more work to do. We owe this both to ourselves and to those who honor us. For those masters who are selected by the members of the college to receive the additional career recognition of a gold medal, this honor can be one of the main points in an illustrious career, recognizing extraordinary leadership in their chosen discipline. Many philanthropists prefer to work quietly to provide their help and encouragement. Organizations strive each day to serve their missions and all of us without expecting major recognition. Calling attention to the achievements of these hardy souls spurs on their efforts to provide support and serve the needs of our field. It is true that our donors and activist organizations are just as essential to craft as are the artists and professionals whose work they support. This recognition and awards program also demonstrates an important aspect of the craft field, the reverence and enthusiasm we have for each other across multiple generations, regardless of media. There is a true respect and affection that the people in craft have for each other and for the work that is produced. Possibly, this stems from the field's long history of workshops and ateliers or apprenticeships with masters to learn techniques in which we work and learn in groups, but it is there and it is palpable. We honor this camaraderie and our field, our craft family this evening as we call attention to our hard-working and accomplished colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Bruce. And now I want to welcome to the stage Chris Amundsen, the Executive Director of the American Craft Council.
Thank you, Bruce. Those are wonderful comments. And to put into context the meaning of this award, in some ways we look at these as almost lifetime achievement awards, and there are a series of awards that we have across the council, from emerging artists up until masters in the lifetime achievement awards with the College Fellows, so thank you for that. I know that many of you have already had the opportunity to read about our fellows and our honorees in the October-November issue of American Craft Magazine. In addition, our team is out doing videotapes. Monica told you the trips that she's made, but we interview each award recipient for our video archive, and we share the story via video with you this evening. We begin by installing our new College of Fellows. So, fellows, please join me on stage. We will show a short video in each one of them to introduce them to you. So please start the first video.
You know, confidence and security and validity comes from, partially comes from the experiential, and comes from getting in there and trying and failing. I don't know, I don't like the word talent. I often say when I give a talk that I make art to seek the accident. And I often cite example after example in my own practice of how the accident that I shunned or that I was avoiding was the only interesting thing that came of it. We're still, as far as I know, we're still physical beings, and there's a mystery in the space between all of us, and that's to be explored. There's an accident in that space that's going to be a mystery and going to be divine and interesting. And so you get older and you understand that a little bit better. You may have a little bit more security in that, but in knowing that that happens, but you're still, the mystery's still just as big. It's still out there. As Virilio, as a French philosopher says, someday the day will come when the day will not come. But I look for the day to come. Success is surviving, isn't it? Success is surviving and sharing and being positive. You know, that's what making is about to me, is about staying 51% positive.
Hi, I'm Hank Adams. I'm an artist, and I'm also the creative director at Whedon Arts.
Please join me in congratulating fellow Hank Murda Adams. Next video, please.
again, just giving, individuals a platform and getting out of my own way is really sort of like the most sort of fulfilling moment. I know what that's like. I know what that sort of platform is. I'm on it. It's important to sort of use that platform in ways that matter. And because that is what brings me to my purpose. It's not the gallery, it's not the museum shows, it's really sort of me being of service. And I think that is how I sort of see success, is being of service. I'm an artist with a conscience. It allows me to sort of deal with things that are concerns of my own, but I think are concerns of the world. Black Lives Matter. I think that's really still a struggle. I think if we just were much more of a compassionate sort of world, I think, that it would be a better place. If we every day spent 1 hour in silence, I think it would be a different world. I want those issues and those sort of concerns and this kind of sort of political sort of undertone in my work to be relevant, of course. But I'm also very much interested in how do I sort of bring you on this sort of journey. And, it's how I want to be sort of responsible as an artist. Hi, my name is Nick Cave, and I'm an artist.
Unfortunately, Nick is unable to be with us this evening, but we'll make sure that he gets his award. Let's show him another round of appreciation for his election to the College of Fellows. Next video, please.
I'm always struck by people asking me, what are your favorite objects, or what do you collect? Because they all automatically assume they're sort of only aesthetics matter. And what I find is I'm drawn to objects, as I said before, something about the stories they tell, but also what they reveal to us. And that's really what I'm engaged with more than anything else, is this idea of not object-centered kind of scholarship where you just sort of zero down in on one object and sort of glorify, talk about its aesthetic content, but how do you talk about object-driven inquiry? What does your approach to the object can you unwrap it to start to thinking about what does it say about different moments in time? What does it tell us about the way people lived, the way they communicated with one another? That's, to me, what really drives me looking at objects. So I look at objects oftentimes as puzzles that need to be revealed, and in doing that, one has to go beyond the mere exterior. You have to sort of be able to place it, but to me, I almost start from the inside out. So I start looking, say, at a piece of furniture, I'm going to look at the wood on the inside, the secondary wood, the wood that's hidden, and thinking about what kind of wood it is, how it's been prepared, how it's been treated, and then work out to the outside and sort of see what's the difference between the inside story, the exterior presentation. So to me, objects aren't just sort of static elements. They actually have a complex story in terms of their making, and then they have a complex story over their use or abuse over time. And that's why I don't get tired doing what I do. My name is Ned Cook, and I'm the Charles Montgomery Professor in the Department of History of Art at Yale University.
Please join me in congratulating Honorary Fellow Ned Cook. Next video, please.
On a daily basis, if I feel I make make a part of a larger whole that's exciting or new, that in itself is a success. But then when you put, let's say, 20, 30 big parts together, or you're starting to move them around and you're seeing some new possibilities, that's real success. And it's stuff that you almost can't even share because it can be right in the middle of something. It'll get hidden or whatever. It's not something you even go and say something to your wife about. It's like, doesn't mean anything. You know, the success is what you feel at that moment. I like that. I think it's enough. I can come into the studio and feel confident that I'm where I ought to be. That's in a way success. I'm doing what I should be doing. I'm using the materials, and I've got the skills, and I'm still got the interest to explore. I like the idea that your work can actually move someone else. You know, part of making is, this is my way of communicating. I think we all need to be stirred and pushed. You know, I'm Michael Cooper, and I'm a sculptor for better or worse.
Please join me in welcoming new fellow Michael Cooper. Next video, please.
I have been labeled as revolutionary in the 70s in the way I approached the work. And I think it's justified because until then, fiber work was coming more from tapestry history, and I think we rebelled, a few of us rebelled against the format, the flatness, the being hung on the wall. Things could be on the floor without being a carpet. And there were all these things that now seem absolutely are accepted, but they were not then. What I was arguing about is that you want to give it as much space and life as you can. And being away from the wall, you get a shadow, you get to see the piece maybe from both sides, from the back and from the front, and hopefully the sides, and all that opens more options. Well, it's exciting and also a little sad to see that the work we did in the 70s is being rediscovered. It's also exciting that more young people are discovering the material and using it in a very different way. I think that's really what I'm really curious about, is to see what will come next, you know, what is the next step. It's one thing to take the things that we did in the 70s out of their crate, but it's the next step of making something new with the same material or maybe other materials that I'm looking forward to. And I'm really happy to still be around when this second wave is happening. It's a learning experience all along. The work itself and finding a place for the work. It's being able to manage to do what you really like, and I think that's really a great treat and important. My name is Françoise Grossen, and I'm a fiber artist.
Unfortunately, Francois is not able to join us this evening, so let's give her another round of applause to show our appreciation for her election to the College of Fellows. Next video, please.
In 2001, my younger brother David was diagnosed with MS. The disease really moved through him quick. It took 4 years. We'd have these talks, we'd have these visits, I'd come back to the studio, and my work started to just let go. And so everything softened, everything quieted, I spent much more time with the work. And we lost him to a heart attack, which was due because the MS kind of attacked his heart. And I was getting ready for a big exhibition at Snyderman in Philadelphia. So all this happened with like 4 weeks, 5 weeks to go for the show. You know, and I was just a wreck. And I glazed everything in the show white and just made this big homage to him. And it was like the gift he gave me. Because a lot of times I'm talking to students, and I want them to understand that life is your source. It isn't a picture in a book. You know, it's like authentic. It's deep. It connects to other people, and everything else is kind of leading up to that. And you spend your life trying to get there, and it's right there all the time. This is the stuff that's real. You know, you get asked questions like, what's your work about? You know, you can just give art talk. You can do all this stuff. This is what my work's about. I'm Chris Gustin. I'm an artist. I work in clay. I'm a potter. I'm a ceramist. I kind of do it all.
Please join me in congratulating new fellow Chris Gustin. Please roll our next video.
You know, it's interesting how people respond to my work, and I've had this conversation with my gallerist, Sienna Patti, and she was pointing out that when people, from her perspective, when people see my work, they're always asking, what is it for? And I find that what it's for is provoking that question. I think there's something inherently present in a metal object that suggests that it's game for something. And I think that I want the audience to wonder more about where these things live, how we engage them, where they might be in the future. I think it's interesting how an object can perpetuate that consideration. As an object maker, I think it's important that we make purposeful objects. And I realize that there's a lot of responsibility in putting new things out there. So I feel that I make things that are kind of theoretical in nature. Actually, I think that some of this comes from, it's basically my prerogative as a professor. I want to urge a robust discourse for the field, for crafts, for metalsmithing. I try as a teacher to present possibilities. And I want the individual to create their own possibilities. And whichever direction they take it, they will have my work as one example of what's possible. My name is Myra Mimlich Gray, and I'm a metalsmith.
Please join me in congratulating Myra Mimlich Gray as a new fellow. Let's give one more round of applause for all of our fellows. What just wonderful people. Now I'd like to invite a very special group of people to take the stage, the winners of our awards of distinction, our award for philanthropy, and our gold medalists. Please join me on stage. First, we'd like to celebrate our award of distinction, which salutes individuals, organizations that have made a significant contribution to this field. This year, it goes to the Craft Emergency Relief Fund. The video, please.
SERF was founded at an American Craft Council show in around 1985, and inevitably somebody on the way there or right before a show would have had a studio fire or something catastrophic happen in their lives.
Somebody had been injured, or somebody's studio had burned down, or somebody's car had broken, or somebody had had all their work stolen.
And people would raise, you know, a small amount of money, aisle by aisle. It was that gesture that got a show producer at the time, Carol Sedestrom-Ross, and Josh Simpson, and a few other artists started talking about, you know, shouldn't we institutionalize this grassroots gesture and make sure that, you know, we would always have some kind of support for our artists.
It took at least 6 or 7 years before we were able to begin to make small grants and loans.
So after Hurricane Katrina in 2005, you know, that was our big aha moment, which was that, you know, it became very clear that no amount of money we could ever raise was going to right somebody's life when their home and studio had been reduced to a slab. And so we took on this work of career protection in many different facets of that work. And that really became sort of equal to our emergency relief work, which is the work that, you know, pulls at the heartstrings. But I always say if we do the career protection work really well, we'll put our emergency relief work out of business, which is, you know, the ultimate goal.
SERF has grown spectacularly in the last 30 years, going from just a telephone in my studio to now having an office of its own in Vermont. It was always meant to be a national organization, but now it really truly is. And under the leadership of Cornelia CAREY, it's just grown and done amazing things.
And so I think I'm most proud of all of us, of the field, you know, that we could actually make this happen. You know, back in 1987 when we gave out our first grant, I think it was $250. And to now be able to, you know, really make a significant difference. Before, I think it was just sort of the feeling that you got that your community cared about you, which was very valuable and continues to be so. But now it's also, you know, a significant boost and an important part of somebody's recovery, and I'm incredibly proud of that. I'm Cornelia CAREY. I have the best job in the world. I'm Executive Director of SERF Plus, the Artist Safety Net.
Let's congratulate Cornelia CAREY and SERF. Another very special award that the council gives is named for our founder, Eileen Osborne Webb. This year, we're honored to bestow the Eileen Osborne Webb Award for Philanthropy to Sarah S. Morgan. Please roll the video.
When I moved back to Houston for the second time that I lived in Houston in 1998, I was really surprised that there was very little craft being shown. And my daughter had just graduated from the Kansas City Art Institute. So we were looking for studio space. I met my co-founder, Ann Lancaster. We had this idea that instead of my daughter having a studio on her own, that we should try to find some other artists to create a synergy. We talked to artists, gallery owners, collectors, and everybody seemed to think that this was a really great idea. We were scheduled to open September 22nd of 2001. Then, of course, 9/11 happened, and we weren't sure that we should go ahead and open. But we decided to go ahead anyway, even though we weren't sure very many people would come. Opening night, we were absolutely shocked when so many people showed up that you could hardly move. I had never experienced the pure joy of being involved in the arts before. It's just been wonderful. Anne and I may have been the co-founders, but we definitely could not have done it without a lot of people helping us all along the way. From the first people we went to ask whether this was a good idea and to get their advice, to our initial board and our first advisory council, which did a lot more than just give advice. They were warned when they said yes, but they pitched in and helped an awful lot. That old saying, it takes a village, it truly does. And this child has been raised very well by the village. I'm Sarah Morgan. I'm an advocate for the arts, somewhat of a collector, and I co-founded the Houston Center for Contemporary Craft in Houston, Texas.
Join me in congratulating Sarah Morgan. Our final award this evening is the presentation of our gold medal. The gold medal honors a lifetime of achievement, and only previously elected fellows are eligible for this award. This year, we are honored to give this award to Gerhard Nodell. Video, please.
You know, there was never a point anywhere along the way where all of a sudden there was an aha moment. My life has really been an accumulation. I mean, I think that's the best way to describe it. Success is always relative. One never is sure that what one is doing is going to be successful. We all live with our fingers crossed as we make things. But the interesting thing in art is that it's a byproduct of intention. Great art happens as a byproduct of technical skills and focus and life experience. And in the end, when all these conditions come together, perhaps it sets the stage for a wonderful performance. Asking questions in the process of making art may be more important than offering answers. Every day offers something new and fresh. One only has to be aware of what's going on out in the world to be sensitive to those opportunities. So the question, what if, is really important. What if this? What if that? What if it's this way? What if it's that way? What if it's different than the last way that you approached it? What can I say about this time in my career? Many people are dead at this age. I'm very happy to be a survivor. Not only that, I'm extremely excited by the possibility of keeping these questions out in front of myself in such a way that not only interests me, but seems to interest other people. And so, what could be better in life experience than that? So every day it's a pleasure to come to the studio, to open the door, to get back to work. Many days I don't turn on the radio. I do no distraction. I eat my carrot and my half apple for lunch. It's here. The life is here. I've seen a lot. I think I know a lot, especially about the field of textiles. But what I'm making, I haven't seen before, and that's very worth doing. Of course I want the work to go out into the world. But this is fabulous. I can't think of anything better. My name is Gerhard Nodell, and I have always aspired to make art.
Let's show our congratulations for Gerhard Nodell.
I can't resist saying an extra word. First of all, on behalf of all of the people that are sitting here on the stage, it's really a wonderful occasion to be able to celebrate accomplishment with all of you. You know, it's really strange. I talked with Nick Cave the other day, and I'm sorry, I just have to mention him. He's opening one of the biggest exhibitions in the United States of America tonight. That's why he's not here. He's one of the heroes in the field. Françoise Grosson is totally overwhelmed by a project that she's doing at MAD in New York. I'm thinking about both of them because they've been close to me during my lifetime. The American Craft Council came into my life when I was 19 years old. I remember going to the library at UCLA and seeing American Craft magazine and seeing things that I knew nothing about, reading about Paul Smith's exhibitions in New York, which were about a world that I could not see in my own home territory. I remember being accepted by the American Craft Council to an exhibition called Young Americans in 1969. It was my first time to stand before a big stage. What is the stage that we all stand before? I think it's important to recognize that each of us are here for reasons that involve institutions. And the institutions that we're part of and support will thrive to the degree that we commit ourselves to their survival. It's easy to be critical in this moment. Sometimes it's difficult to be supportive, but there is so much to recognize that is of value in our lives coming through those institutions. One final word. After thinking about to whom the information is addressed that we've been hearing through the series of programs that we've experienced to this point, I'm thinking about how much is focused on those people who are entering these fields, people who are anticipating a long future. But at the same time, I think it's important that we recognize that there are people of their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and even beyond, whose lives are reborn with every day that they live, and people who have the opportunity to discover within themselves places that are important to them. Each of us can exercise a role in nurturing those potential skills, interests, and the joy of making. Thank you all very much for everything that you've offered here this weekend. Thank you.
Don't bite that medal like it's an Olympic medal. Artistic mastery, academic excellence, philanthropic support, organizations that provide community. Those are the critical building blocks of our work. Please join me in congratulating all the awardees one last time. I'm wondering if there are any previous awardees here tonight. If so, would you stand, please? I thought there were a few. The celebration continues next door in the main hall. Please come and congratulate our new awardees in person. I should tell you that ACC Chair Stu Kestenbaum will lead a Scotch toast sponsored by the Balvenie, which is not bad. And you should know, you may already know, Stu is the state of Maine's poet laureate. So this will not be an ordinary toast, I'm guessing. No pressure. Finally, I really urge you to visit our website or our YouTube channel to watch extended versions of the videos you saw tonight. Andrew Rinaldo, sitting over here, can you stand, please? Has really just done outstanding work in editing the videos this year. Thank you all for coming, and we look forward to talking out in the main hall.